You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of nerds. Nerds!
Welcome back, Nerds Podcast. There's Pooba, I'm Pete, and we're talking about today two movies that are coming out in 2026. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 2. Now, we've seen movies of these franchises before, of these video games, translated onto, giving us the movie, giving a movie based off these video games. We've seen them before. The first one, I believe, was Street Fighter with Raul Julia, who played Gomez Adams in Adams Family and the Adams Family Values. He was Bison in Street Fighter. They chose Jean-Claude Van Damme to play an American Guile at that time. I don't know why, but in all fairness, he was,
he looked the part.
Looking the part is not really an issue. It's, he's got a heavy accent. I don't know how you get him to play an American of all people. But he played Guile in the first Street Fighter movie, and there have been anime versions of animated Street Fighter movies, and of course Mortal Kombat back in the 90s. They did have a movie that came out based off the video game. I don't remember any A-listers off the top of my head being in that movie. It seemed very low budget, and of course it wasn't a big success. But the point is, these video games have had movies made after them before. Now, this one, we got Mortal Kombat coming out. I believe it's on May 8th. This one is starring from The Boys, Carl Urban, who plays Butcher.
Love Butcher.
He will be playing Johnny Cage. He will be playing Johnny Cage, and this is a sequel, I believe. And they're really, this one seems like one of the bigger attempts that they're making at this Mortal Kombat movie. And later on in October of this year, we're getting Street Fighter. Now, the cast is a little interesting here because it seems like there's a lot of wrestlers that are in this movie. Dusty Rhodes' son.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Oh my God.
Is it Cody?
Jesus, it escapes me, bro.
It's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is in the Street Fighter movie. Roman Reigns is in the Street Fighter movie. And Noah Centineo, who's playing He-Man in the Masters of the Universe movie, is playing Ken. But there is another guy that I think everybody knows. 50 Cent will be playing Balrog.
Yeah, and Jason Momoa
will be playing Blanca. So there is obviously there's some big names here, and again, when you're a big name wrestler, that's big because the WWE is massive. And to be a star there where you're transitioning over into a movie, we've seen The Rock, we've seen Batista, and we've seen John Cena. They've kind of transitioned. Seems like they're full-time actors now. You're not going to see them back anymore. And it looks like that's what these guys are trying to do as well. Because that schedule for a wrestler, the schedule for a professional wrestler is insane. And they tried to unionize years ago. They can't get that done. So I'm sure once they get the acting bug, they kind of want to make that transition because they've seen 3 guys become successful at it. But the Street Fighter movie is coming out October 16th. So we got some distance in between both these movies. Of course, we'll be covering them. We'll see, do the same thing we just did with Scream. We'll watch it first when it first comes out, and we'll have an episode out right away as soon as we can to cover it. But Pooba, we grew up with these video games.
Oof, did we? Did we?
So what did you kind of, where did you gravitate to?
So no, these are staples. Both Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat are staples for me and you and for all of our friends, for a long time. Like these are the things that we played in the arcade. And when they transitions over to the home systems, we were super happy. I mean, you talk about Mortal Kombat, released in October of 92. That's crazy to think that, right? And the original Street Fighter arcade game, August 1987. So just kind of show you where it's at. Now, Street Fighter didn't really get popular till Street Fighter 2, and that's 1991. So for me, I think Street Fighter is probably the most recognizable of all these games because it sparked like outside of Mortal Kombat. If you remember, Fatal Fury, Virtua Fighter, Tekken.
Tekken. Yep, I was watching Tekken.
So Street Fighter kind of really launch pad these type of games because of its popularity. And it's probably the most influential of the two. You talk a lot about on this show about how people want to put wrestlers in a position like Thor should have been like Triple H or something the nature. This is the time to show and prove. Like this is for me to have this many wrestlers like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in one movie with big names like Jason Momoa as well. But it's gonna be time to show up. Be like, man, that was pretty horrible, or that was gonna be really great. I think for some of these movies, but the games are crazy. You mentioned Jean-Claude Van Damme, but for Mortal Kombat, Johnny Cage was actually supposed to. It's kind of like mimicked around who Jean-Claude Van Damme is. An actor who did martial arts movies. He did the splits, if you remember, in the game.
Yes.
So Jean-Claude Van Damme was actually Johnny Cage. Even though he played it in Street Fighter, Johnny Cage was based around him. Man, talk about gory. Like Mortal Kombat was one of those first games that you saw full-on blood and guts and brains and hearts being ripped out of people. And of course, you have the ultimate where you take off the head and the spine is just dangling for itself. Mortal Kombat had probably the best one-liners. Get over here. Finish him. Even the toasty, even that was actually fantastic. You think about that stuff again, but Mortal Kombat, over 25 games in the last 30 years, Street Fighter over 80. And I'm talking about, even the Marvel versus Capcom, the Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. You think about like the top 10 characters, right? In the sense of, Andrew Koji, who's going to play Ryu in the Street Fighter movie. You have Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, but you have Ken, Chun-Li, who's probably the queen of all these women fighters. Like everybody knew that Chun-Li was going to kick you some other nature, and those fast kicks were going to come. I think it was fantastic. You mentioned Bison. There's so many dope ones like Guile and Sagat on the Street Fighter side, but by far Mortal Kombat visually, because when they first came out with the game, they were using real actors to show in the game. And you think about how that looked visually, Mortal Kombat by far surpassed what Street Fighter was. You think about Raiden and the hat and the lightning and the way he did the Superman and flew across the screen. Like all this stuff comes to me. Sub-Zero freezing the person, and then the next combo was to uppercut the person. Like you knew the combos already. Kung Lao, Milena, Katana, Shang Tsung with all his arms. Like it was fantastic. And then to see these things come to life now in movies and shows and things of that nature, because it's so beloved, it just has to be done right. And that's my biggest fear. Like we talked about Fantastic Four. Finally, they did it right. Out of all these movies, I'd have to say in the first Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero and Scorpion looked really good. They did look really good. But overall, the movie wasn't that great.
But those are the guys. Those are the guys you really have to get right. Those are like the main
pillars.
Those are like the guys who are at the front of the whole the Mortal Kombat brand is kind of known for those two guys. They're two ninjas, and and honestly, they definitely got the different powers, but they look the same except for their colors. You know, Scorpion's yellow and
Sub-Zero's blue.
Sub-Zero's blue. But go ahead.
No, yeah, Reptile that was green as well. So no, again, for me, it's just I don't know what this is gonna look like, feel like, plot twists, things of that nature. It's kind of like, for me, it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really want to see it done right, and it needs to be gory, it needs to be dope. I did see like an AI Ninja Turtles one where the guy did a shotgun to the back of the shell, and you see the shell shock on Raphael, which is dope to see because they do get shell shocked. But for these two genres, in the sense of these two movies, it's one genre, it's a fighting movie. It just needs to be done right. The action scenes have to hit. Like it needs to be like, oh, oh. It needs to have that impact on both sides of it. Because the truth of the matter is, we're not really watching these movies for plot twists. It's not like Scream, right? We just covered. It's not gonna be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. They just need to get the fighting scenes right and a good plot. You don't have to do a twist. I think a good plot, good fighting scenes. I'm curious how, all these fans that wanted these wrestlers to be in these movies, and we talked about a God of War, and you mentioned that all the time. It just, you need acting chops for that role. So I'm curious to see how they all comes together. Again, I'm a big martial arts fan. Everybody knows that, but I just want to see this, and I want to see how these people deliver these roles. I mean, Vega with his, he had the Wolverine claws. It was so dope to see that, the way he used it. Orville Peck, who's going to be Vega, of course, in the Street Fighter movie. 50 Cent as Balrog. I don't know. Like, is that going to make sense to me? And he's probably going to troll us because he trolls everybody that talks about him. So I'm curious. Shout out 50 Cent. So you could do that. We'll get more subscribers that way, I guess. But no, it's good to see that they're leaning on this. I'm wondering what the CGI is going to look like. The backdrops are going to look like, because one of the things that we know about Street Fighter is that it was all over the world. Like, you got to pick the characters from whatever country they were from. So I remember that as well. And what was great about Mortal Kombat is I love when they transitioned over and you would hit someone so hard and it would break and you'd get to another background and you'd go down to another scene or something. So I'm curious, right? I'm just super curious. Jason Momoa fighting. I don't think he's done really that, but since Wrecking Crew, right? So, and he looked great in that. He did really great in that. So I'm all in. I'm excited to see this. I'm hoping that there's no disappointment. That's the only thing. Like I said, plot and fighting, it shouldn't be that hard, Pete. But what do you think?
When, we're fans of these different, these different franchises, and look, we're talking about Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and you said it, you just said it earlier. We were hoping for Fantastic Four to get done right, and we finally got it done right. Was the movie this big, a huge success? No, but they got Galactus right. And that's where people were kind of really turned off with the other movie, was that they showed him as some entity, as a cloud. Like, it just, I know everybody looked at it like, going, what the hell is that? And they got that part right. And the Ben Grimm looked amazing. The CGI looked great. So I think all the fans said, okay, they finally got it right. And I understand what you're saying as far as these two movies are concerned, because we're big fans and we just want them to get it right. So we'll see it on, we'll see Mortal Kombat in May, and we'll see Street Fighter in October. But going back to Mortal Kombat, this is way back, like you said, playing it in the arcade. I remember first seeing it in the arcade in 42nd Street in Times Square. And there's no YouTube back then or no Google, but I get there and I'm seeing like, these guys know them. How did these guys know the freaking moves already? And Mortal Kombat came up with the fatalities. Street Fighter didn't have that. Mortal Kombat had had the gore, like you said, they really took it to another level. That they're ripping the heart out of this guy's chest. They had finishing moves as well. I don't remember Street Fighter having that.
No.
And just to show the parallels between the two, you mentioned Marvel versus Capcom, and then you had DC versus Mortal Kombat. So it's kind of like Marvel and DC, but in the video game sense. And then they went and teamed up and did their own thing, which is cool. But again, there's a super long history with these two franchises, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I was more of a Mortal Kombat fan because of that, because it was just so different. Like you said, they used mocap. It wasn't like animated style. It was real actors. And if you go on YouTube, you can see like some behind the scenes of what they did to make the game. But back then it was like groundbreaking back then, because we were used to, think about it, we were used to like 8-bit Donkey Kong and Frogger and stuff like that. And then they kind of went to Street Fighter type style. And then they give us Mortal Kombat, and we're looking at actual actors fighting each other on the screen. But look, it's come this far. You said, what was it, the late 80s and the early 90s?
Yeah,
going on 40 years for a video game. It's insane. But Street Fighter 2 is when it took off, and then it really took off when they did Street Fighter Marvel versus Capcom. That's when it really took off. Street Fighter became a monster. But of course, like you said, with the amount of games that they've made over the years, they've added different characters to Mortal Kombat. Kratos, we just covered Scream. Ghostface is in there. Freddy is in there. I think Leatherface is in there. So they've done. Mortal Kombat has done more crossover than Street Fighter, but I'm definitely more of a Mortal Kombat fan.
I got a question for you, Pete. So if you had to choose, in the sense of Marvel versus DC versus, where did you lean?
Well, the better game was Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah.
But I'm a DC fan, so I was really psyched when they did Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. But obviously, with some controversy, the Joker's fatality was cut because it was too much.
It was too much.
It was too much. And again, that's their
That's
niche.
when he takes out the gun?
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes out, a flag comes out first, and then he actually shoots the guy. But it was, they had cut that out. And again, that's their thing. But that also translates over to, look, DC is a little bit more, dark and gritty than Marvel. And it translated even over to when they had their own fighting games, because you didn't see nothing like that in Marvel versus Capcom. Or even those other Marvel games that came out afterwards, those fighting games, you didn't see none of that. You didn't see gore. You didn't see any of that. They were just, it was just a fighting game. But Mortal Kombat was something different. If you even see the fatalities now, it's insane. Terminator. The Terminator was in the freaking game. Like, everybody if you have any look, Homelander and freaking Omni-Man are in the game.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they never did whether it was Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter style of things like G.I. Joe. I would have loved to see that.
They do have an Invincible game coming out. Fighting
style. They do. They do.
Invincible versus. But listen, this is a great trip down memory lane, because again, this goes back to when we were kids, and most of this stuff does. But it's the fact that they're still making movies about these things show how influential they are in people's lives. Like us, again, we're gamers, we're comic book heads, we're nerds, and this is the type of stuff that we still are, we're still interested in. And we're not the only ones, because if that was the case, they wouldn't be making movies. Still making movies after all these years, trying to get it right. I'm hoping they get it. They've gotten it right this time, hopefully. Yeah. But we'll be here to cover both of those. Again, for those who have not subscribed, please do us a favor, support the channel. Hit that subscribe button. And for Puba, for myself,
the worst episode ever.